What a do, skibbity boo, it's your boy Shawnee B Gaming, and today we're going to be going over the mid-season patch notes. There is a lot in this video. We're going to be going over the god changes, the Ratatoskr rework, the item changes, the new avatar battle pass, the new skins, and then we're going to go over the changes to the game modes, followed by Project Olympus and bugs. So let's go ahead and jump into the god changes. So when going over the god changes, the first thing to note is that a lot of these gods are not currently really in the meta, so they're seeing a little bit of love, and hopefully that will spice things up for the later half of this season. If you see a change to the base damage, that is most likely going to affect the early, mid, and late game, and if you see a change to the damage scaling, it's most likely going to affect the mid and late game, not necessarily the early game. So with Ao Kuang, his Dragon Call is getting increased slow on the range attack from 20% to 30%. His Windstorm is going to be decreased from 9 seconds to 7 seconds. Apollo, his Serenade is getting increased physical protections, and then it's going to scale up by 5 on all ranks. Adjust the Mesmerized duration, and that is going to be a little bit stronger in the early game at rank 1, and it's going to remain the same at rank 5. Across the Sky, increased scaling from 30% to 40%. It damages 4 times, so that's really an increase of 120% to 160%. With Artio, Artio is roaring back. Increase the Druid damage, and that's going to be going up by 10 at all ranks. And then the heal ranged is increased from 65 to 75. Artio's heavy charge in the bear stance is going to increase the slow. It's going to have a stronger slow in the beginning, and then it's going to have the same slow at max rank. So she'll be a little bit more debuffy in the early game, one could say. With Baba Yaga, Baba's Brew is getting the increased damage from the base scaling, so she's going to be a little bit stronger in the early game. Her rank 1 was 65, it is now going to be 85, and then her max rank at level 5 is going to remain at 225. The Home Sweet Home is going to get an increased shield health. It is going to get increased by 60 in the early, so at level 1, and then whenever it gets towards the level 5, it's only going to be an increase of 20. So it's going to be a little bit stronger in the early game, and a little bit stronger in the late game, a little bit less than the early game. Bakasora, Eat Minions is going to increase physical power scaling on the self-heal from 70% to 85%, and it's going to increase protections, and it's going to increase it by 12 at the final ranks. So at level 5, you'll be able to get more protections from this ability. With Baron Somdi, his Vivid Gaze is getting increased damage for his base damage. It's going to be plus 10 at all ranks. Wrap It Up, which is his 3, is going to increase scaling from 5% to 8%. So it's going to really be a 5% or a 25% total being increased to a 40% total because it ticks 5 times. Then with Cabrakan, his Tremors now deal an initial tick of damage immediately upon casting. They recently made a change to Aphrodite where she had an initial tick of damage added and she was picked up a lot more. So maybe Cabrakan will be seen a little bit more often. With Cerberus, his Paralyzing Spit is getting a decreased cooldown from 16 seconds to 14 seconds. And his Soul Explosion is getting a decreased cooldown from 16 seconds to 14 seconds. With Chiron, his Training Exercise is getting an increased damage from the base damage. So at rank 5, it's still going to be 300, but at rank 1, it's going to get an increase of 20. So it was at 80, now it's going to be at 100. The Masterful Shot is getting an increased scaling from 70% to 80%. And then we have Cthulhu. Cthulhu needs a lot of nerfs. Descend into Madness might not be the nerf that he needs. Cthulhu can no longer use relics while in his ultimate. I think he's still going to be overpowered. I don't think this is going to affect too much. With Cupid, his Heart Bomb, minions take an additional 50% damage from the explosion. Minions take an additional 50% damage from the initial hit. I heard this change drastically changed how effective that Cupid was in Conquest in the dual lane, so I'll be very interested to try this out. With Medusa, her Viper Shot is now going to have 4 charges at all ranks, compared to it used to have only 3 at level 1. Acid Spray is getting increased scaling from 70% to 80%, and it's getting an increase of range from 40 to 45. And then Lacerate, he's getting an increased root duration from 0.5 seconds to 1 second. Next we have Mulan. Her grapple, the training speed was 300 damage, 700 damage, 1500 damage, and now that's getting reduced to 200 damage, 500 damage, and 1200 damage, meaning that you can now level this ability up by her mastery a little bit quicker, and it's getting an increased protections. So it was 40 at the max rank. It looks like it's going to be increase of 5 at all ranks. And then Divine Mastery, increased arrow scaling from 50% to 60%. Neath, her backflip, the animation and travel time for this ability has been sped up by 25%. So that's a neat little tweak that they made to her that might impact how she is played. Broken Weave, all enemies now see Neath's base skin weave models, even if the Neath has a skin equipped. So I bet you it'll be different Broken Weaves for the Neath's point of view, but all the same for the enemy's point of view. Unravel, the decreased attack speed debuff is going from 30%, now it's going to be on a scale, and it's only going to be 30% at rank 5. At level 1, it's going to be 18%. This ability now steals attack speed from enemy gods, decreasing their attack speed and buffing Neath's by the same amount. So before, it did not steal the enemy's attack speed, it just reduced it. So the adjust buff/debuff duration from, it was on a scale, now it's going to be 4 seconds at all ranks. Hitting multiple gods will debuff them all, but will only apply 1 stack of the buff to Neath. Next we have Nemesis. Her Slice and Dice is getting increased damage by 10 at all ranks. Oleron is getting an increased damage on his Overflowing Divinity. It was going to be on a scale of 40 to 100, now it's going to be on a scale of 60 to 120, so it's going to be more at all ranks by 20. Increase the damage decrease per shot from 20% to 30%. With Set, his Relentless is getting increased duration from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. Skewer was on a damage scale of 70 to 250, now it's going to be at a scale of 85 to 285, and it's getting increased scaling from 80% to 90%, so this ability is receiving a buff to both the base damage and the scaling. Spawns of Set is now going to deal 60 on a scale of 80% of Skewer's damage as you level it up. Sun Wukong, his Undefeated Body increased percent HP while his passive triggers from 40% to 50%, and then increase the duration of his passive self buff if he heals above 50% HP from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. So small buff there. And then his 72 transformations, the stun is now going to be 1.4 at all ranks, where earlier you had to scale it up to the 1.4. Sylvanas is seeing a little bit of love. He's getting increased damage on his Wisps. It was doing 10 to 30 per tick, now it's dealing a scale of 14 to 38. Wrath of Terra is also receiving a damage buff. It's going to get 20 extra damage points at the level 5, and it's going to remain the same at level 1. Then with Toth, his Hieroglyphic Assault, this damage increase will affect all enemies, not just gods. Increased scaling damage from 20% to 25%. Added fall off damage past the 55 range, reducing damage by 25%. So that's an interesting change. They're making it to where he's going to be able to clear lane a little bit faster. It's going to do a little bit more damage, but if it is at the max range, the damage is going to fall off just slightly. With Ymir, increased duration from 4 seconds to 6 seconds. Increase the damage reduction from 10% to 15%. Up next, we're going to be going over the Ratatoskr rework. Ratatoskr is receiving a rework in this mid-season patch. He's getting some new nuts. So, the Acorn is now going to branch into 2 versions of the Tier 2 Acorn, and then each one of those Tier 2s is going to have a Tier 3, or 2 Tier 3s that they can branch into. So the Lively Acorn, which is one of the Tier 2 items, it's passive. When Ratatoskr damages an enemy god, he's going to heal for 3% of his maximum health. The Evergreen Acorn is going to cost 1900 gold. It's going to give you 35 physical power, 20% movement speed, and 15% maximum health. Whenever Ratatoskr damages a god with an ability, he heals for 7% of his maximum health and mana. So you can heal up to 21% of your health if you're just hitting your kit on one person. The Thickback Acorn, it's going to be a 1900 gold purchase. It's going to give you 25 physical power, 20% movement speed, and 15% protections. Whenever Ratatoskr damages an enemy god, with an ability, he's going to heal for 3% of his maximum health, which is the passive from the Tier 2 Lively Acorn. Flurry has an additional charge, and when Ratatoskr gains protections, that he shreds from enemy gods. So the other Tier 2 Acorn is going to be the Nettle Acorn. It has no passive, and it can evolve into the Bristlebush Acorn, which is going to cost 250 gold, and then it's going to give you 45 physical power, 20% movement speed, 20% critical strike chance, and its passive, Dart now deals 40% increased damage and can crit. When Dart damages an enemy, Ratatoskr gains 10% physical lifesteal and 10% basic attack damage for 6 seconds. The Thistle Thorn Acorn, which also builds off of the Nettle Acorn, is going to cost 2,050 gold. It's going to give you 45 physical power. It's going to give you 20% movement speed, and its passive, Acorn Blast, now shoots 5 acorns. Enemies hit by Acorn Blast are marked and take 5% increased damage from Rattataskr's abilities, stacking up to 3 times for 5 seconds. I have heard great things from the defensive acorns, which would be the Evergreen Acorn and the Thickback Acorn, although I've heard that these other acorns are good as well. So then the Acorn Blast. Increased damage per acorn. It was on a scale of 40 to 100. Now it's going to be on a scale of 50 to 130. Increased physical power scaling from 30% to 40%. Enemies hit by multiple acorns will take 25% less damage on each acorn, down to a minimum of 25% damage. These changes overall should result in Ratatoskr dealing similar damage when hit with all 3 acorns. And then they also added a note that enemies need to be hit by 3 acorns to be stunned rather than all. This is intended for Thistlethorn, Empowered Acorn, to stun if 3 acorns hit. So from the PTS, they were able to make some changes that I forgot to mention. The Hide of the Nemean Lion is getting increased max stacks from 1 to 2. We'll get to that in just a second. The Evergreen Acorn is getting increased gold cost from 1,900 to 2,500, so the tanky items are going to be the same price as the aggressive items. With the Evergreen Acorn, the decreased health bonus from 15% to 10%, and then the Thick Gold Back decreased protections bonus from 15% to 10%, and then the Bristlebush decreased physical power from 45 to 35, and then they completely just scrapped the changes to Toth and gave him a small buff in his base damage by 5 at all ranks, and they decreased the mana cost from 60 to 80. Now it's going to be from 50 to 70, so minus 10 mana at all ranks. I kind of wish that they kept the original changes, but we'll go ahead and get into the items. So a lot of the physical items are receiving a rework if they had penetration. In fact, the entire physical penetration system is being reworked. I think this is mostly going to affect hunters, but it could also affect assassins. So for Titan's Bane, they're getting an increased cost from 2,300 to 2,550. It's increasing its physical power from 30 to 40, added 20% physical penetration, and its passive is your first ability cast gains 20 physical penetration. This can only occur once every 10 seconds. I think this item will still be picked up because of this new passive, just like Obsidian Shard was picked up. The Executioner, decreased cost from 2,350 to 2,200, increased physical power from 30 to 35, and decreased the passive shred from 12% per stack to 7% per stack, and this is a huge deal. This item was a staple for hunters for many years. It used to remove 36% of their protections, and now it's only going to remove 21% of their protections, and you have to land 3 basic attacks to get that. Or you can just buy Atalanta's bow and get this 20% pen right away. So your first basic attack is dealing 20% pen. I think this item is going to be the replacement for Executioner past this mid-season patch. So the Atalanta's bow is getting 20% pen. It removed the 10% movement speed. In its new passive, if you receive a kill or an assist on an enemy god, you're going to gain Atalanta's agility for 10 seconds. This effect increases your attack speed by 20% and decreases your movement penalty for attacking, backpedaling, and strafing by 50%. With Rage, it's getting increased cost from 2,300 to 2,400. The Silver Branch Bow added 10% physical penetration, removed the 10 flat pen, and increased the physical power gained from the passive from 1.5 to 2 per stack. The 8-pointed Shuriken is getting a reduced attack speed from 10% to 7%. And then we're getting a new item, the Shadow Steel Shuriken. It's going to cost 2,500 gold. It's going to give you 20 physical power, which is not a lot. 10% attack speed, which is not a lot, and 20% crit chance. Its new passive, enemies hit by your critical strikes are going to have 40% reduced healing and regeneration for 8 seconds. Poison Star is getting a decreased attack speed from 15% to 10%, and it's also getting an increase in physical power from 30 to 35. Wind Demon is getting a decreased critical strike from 20% to 15%, and it's getting a decreased physical power from 30 to 25. Its passive now provides 10% physical penetration in addition to the attack speed and movement speed. I think Wind Demon is going to be a pretty good item. Soul Eater is getting a decreased cost from 2,300 to 2,100. It's getting a decrease in power from 40 to 30. Removed the 200 mana, added 10% physical penetration, and now provides 5% ability lifesteal even before stacks are completed and the item evolves. Evolved Soul Eater decreased power from 60 to 40, removed the 200 mana, added 10% physical penetration, and increased the physical ability lifesteal from 15% to 20%. I still don't think this item is going to be too great. Heartseeker decreased cost from 3,100 to 2,900, removed the 10 physical penetration, and added 10% physical penetration. Fail Not is probably going to be a pretty good item in this upcoming split. It added 10% physical penetration. Masamune got removed, and in a similar item, the Sludge, which we will get to in just a moment, is going to take its spot. A new item, the Serrated Edge, is going to cost 2,400 gold. It's going to provide you 40 physical power, 10% lifesteal, 10% movement speed, 20% physical penetration, and its passive, if all 3 of your non-ultimate abilities are on cooldown, gain 40 basic attack power and 10% lifesteal. This has a lot of great stats, and I can imagine it'll be picked up on characters like Arachne. So for the warrior items, Gladiator Shield, which has been a staple in Smite for seasons in the past, is getting reworked, so the whole solo lane will probably get changed up. Now a tier 3 item that builds off of Tower Shield. It's going to cost 2,500 gold. It's going to give you 20 physical power, 200 health, 40 physical protections, and 10% cooldown reduction. Its new passive is any enemy god who's under 50% health takes bonus damage from your abilities equal to 15 plus 2 per level, bonus physical damage. Triggers only once per enemy god per ability. Then Berserker's Shield, which is kind of in a similar situation to Gladiator Shield, is going to be receiving a rework. It is now going to be a tier 3 item that builds off of Tower Shield. It's going to cost 2,500 gold. It's going to provide you 40 physical power, 30 physical protections, 20% attack speed, and 10% physical penetration. If you drop below 40% HP, you become Berserk. Berserk now provides 20 physical power and 20% attack speed. Last 5 seconds, refreshes on if healed and then re-damaged. So now it's starting to look like Berserker Shield is going to be a better option than Gladiator Shield. The Sledge, which is the Masamune, is going to be 2,300 gold. It's going to provide you 40 physical power, 300 health, 150 mana, 20% crowd control reduction, and its passive for each enemy within 55 units, you gain 10 magical and physical protections, stacking up to 3 times. So it's going to be effective in Joust, not just Conquest. Assassin's Blessing, increased health from 50 to 100, now provides 7 physical and magical power, increased healing from jungle monsters from 7% to 8%, and decreased bonus damage done to jungle monsters from 40% to 30%. Warlock's Staff is getting an increased base power from 65 to 85, and is decreasing the base power per stack from 1 to 0.8, so the total power is going to be increased from 140 to 145. The Book of Thoth is getting a decreased cost from 2,650 to 2,500. The Tyrannical Plate Helm is getting an increased magical power from 70 to 85, and increased minion health from 10% to 20%. Mail of Renewal, decreased time it takes to heal for 15% and regain 15% mana from 5 seconds to 3 seconds, so you're going to heal a little bit quicker. The Stone of Gaia, increased healing per second from 0.3 seconds to 0.5 seconds of your max health. And then Hide of the Nemean Lion, its new passive. Every 15 seconds, this item generates a block stack for the owner, and it can have a max of 2 stacks, as we read in the bonus PTS updates. The Ring of Hakate is going to cost 2,500. It's going to have 80 power, 30% attack speed, 20% lifesteal, and its new passive. Each successful basic attack applies a hex to the enemy and empowers you. Enemies receive 5% decreased power per stack, and you receive 5% increased power and increased healing gained. Both effects stack up to 3 times and last 5 seconds. Divine Ruin is getting an increased magical power from 80 to 90, and they're decreasing the flat pen from 15 to 10. Spear of Desolation is getting a nerf from the 15 flat pen to 10 flat pen. Spear of the Magus is going to cost 2,450 gold. It's going to provide 110 magical power plus 10 flat pen, and it's going to have a new passive. Any god you damage becomes marked and debuffed to take 7.5 increased damage from all sources for 10 seconds. This effect can only affect one god at a time and can only occur every 10 seconds. The Warrior Tabi is now going to have some mana on it, 100 mana, and then they reworked some of the relics. It's not often that they rework relics. So with the teleport glyph, players may now use this relic to teleport to phoenixes. The Cursed Ankh, when applied, this relic now reduces active shields by 50%. The Sundering Spear, this relic now destroys shields when applied. Up next, we're going to be going over the Battle Pass. So I am very excited for this upcoming Battle Pass. I think that the crossover between Smite and Avatar: The Last Airbender is brilliant, and I can't wait to play as Aang in game. So with the free track, you're going to be able to get the Team Avatar Jump Stamp, the Pabu Avatar, the Avatar Loading Screen, the Avatar Title, and then with the premium track, you're going to be able to get the Zuko Susano, Korra Skadi, Aang Merlin, the Avatar Loading Frame, Aang Announcer Pack, Zuko Announcer Pack, Korra Announcer Pack, the Air Nomads Animated Avatar, the Water Tribe Animated Avatar, the Fire Nation Animated Avatar, and the Earth Kingdom Animated Avatar. We can also get the My Cabbages Global Emote, Rava and Vatu Death Stamps, the Appa Ward Skin, the Naga Ward Skin, the Elements Level Up Skin, the Avatar Friends Jump Stamp, and then with the Prestige track, we can get the other editions of the skin. So we can get the Blue Spirit Susano, the Avatar Korra Skadi, and the Avatar Aang Merlin. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these skins. We have the Aang Merlin, Zuko Susano, the Korra Skadi. I think all of these look great, and I like the characters that they chose for them. And then here are the premium tracks, the Avatar Aang Merlin, the Blue Spirit Susano, the Avatar Korra Skadi. And then the other skins we have this patch are the Tornado Tech Kukulkan, which is going to be an exclusive New Moon event skin. Then we have the Piñata Party Kumbhakarna, which is going to be an exclusive New Moon skin. We have the Base Demon Raijin, which is going to be the exclusive Viewer Store skin. We have the Twisted Joke Izanami, which is going to be the exclusive Twisted Joke skin. And then Ares is receiving a remodel. One of the biggest things that you can notice is that his hands are an appropriate size. So we have Ares, the Destroyer Ares, and then all of the Mastery skins receiving a rework. Up next, we're going to be going over the changes to the game modes. So we're going to be covering all the changes to the game modes in all ranked modes. The mid-season ranked reset is here. As with previous splits, variants will be softly reset as players who are Diamond and above. Players will have a renewed chance to prove themselves, and players will need to fight to claim the #1 spot on the leaderboards. The God leaderboards and leaderboard frames are also being reset. For Joust and Duel, they removed the protection scaling on fire minions. They decreased the max health scaling from 20 to 10 for the fire brutes, and from 10 to 5 for the fire archers. In Conquest, we have a lot of changes. One thing I'd like to note is that they are announcing a new Conquest map for Season 8.1, which means that at the end of the year or the next season, there's going to be a new Conquest map. So there are some changes happening to the camp and jungle this mid-season, and hopefully that will spice up the jungle just a little bit. The jungle shrine is now only going to take 1 hit to claim the whole bounty, and increase the gold per god per stack. It was 5, now it's going to be 10. The lane minions are going to be a little bit smarter. They're going to start hitting each other at like the same rate instead of jostling based on if they got aggroed by anyone. Then in the mid lane, the camps of the 2 small harpies have been changed to a single elder harpy, so it's not going to be worth as much gold or XP, and it's going to take longer to clear. The Gold Fury has a reduced hitbox size of 25%, and they adjusted the AI pathing. For jungle monsters, they're seeing a lot of reworks. So with the Alpha Harpy, it's receiving a new ability Screech. It applies a 15% attack speed debuff to its target, stacks up to 2 times, and lasts 6 seconds. With the Elder Harpy, It has no abilities, so it's pretty much the same. It's going to be, all these camps are going to be increased in terms of their max health, their magical and physical power and protections. The red buff is going to have a new ability called Berserk. It triggers when the Manticore falls below 45% health. This attack has increased attack speed, causing players to take more damage over time. The purple buff has a new ability, Void Sludge. The Chimera fires a projectile attack at its target, applying a debuff to the first target it aggroes. Decrease protections by 20%. With this debuff applied, enemy minions will prioritize you less even if you deal damage to an enemy god. Lasts 20 seconds and has a 30-second cooldown. The speed buff has a new ability, Spear Thrust. Winds up for a powerful thrust, damaging all enemies in a line. Deals 3 times its basic attack damage to enemies within range. And then we have the blue buff. Its new ability is Summoning Spirits. Up to 4 spirits will be summoned to help the blue buff shortly after he enters combat. They will have very low HP and can deal a lot of damage if left unchecked. The Pyromancer has a new ability, Infernal Ritual. Shortly after being attacked, the Pyromancer enters into a 3-second duration channel spell. If successful, it's going to cast Infernal Ritual. This spell is an AoE debuff that causes all nearby gods to take 15% increased damage from all sources. It lasts 10 seconds. The Pyromancer can be interrupted during its 3-second channel time by stuns, silence, knockups, mesmerize, and fears. The Oracles have a new ability, Guarding Ritual. Shortly after being attacked, the Oracle enters into a 3-second duration channel spell. If successful, it casts Guarding Ritual. This buff casts the Oracles to take 40% reduced damage from all sources. It lasts 5 seconds. The Oracles can be interrupted. Fire Giant now spawns Molten Pools when an enemy god enters its area. It has a 30-second cooldown. The Gold Fury has a new ability, unique to each Fury. So for the regular Gold Fury, it's going to be Burden of Riches. It's going to apply a 5% slow per stack, 20% gold bounty when killed per stack. The Oni Fury is going to have a 5% increased damage taken from all sources per stack. That is going to be applying on enemy gods attacking it. And the Primal is going to have a 5% reduced damage per stack. And last but not least, we're going to be covering the Project Olympus and bug fixes. So for Project Olympus, the Kronos, Kumbhakarna, Janus, and Agni Mastery skins have been updated. Ares has gotten a visual update. They made some changes to the punishment reports. Vision Shard, we're changing the reminder to purchase a second relic to appear when you enter the fountain instead of waiting until you've walked out. And then general bug fixes. General gameplay fixed an issue where if a player dropped from a ranked match, they'd be shown their TP and ranked progress in the next match they play regardless of the mode. Fixed a small window of timing during their intro animation when jungle camp monsters could be damaged from outside their leash threat radius. UI, they made a few changes here. And then with gods, they made some changes to Anubis, fixed an issue where the basic attack animation was not playing as intended while moving on the demonic pack skin. Cthulhu received some love, fixed incorrect Pantheon icon showing in match lobby, cleaned up some jitter issues with the mire, fixed rushing terror not consistently hitting gods with end grapple damage, addressed an issue where Cthulhu would turn invisible until respawn, fixed friendly knocks from being able to leave Cthulhu while in ultimate form. Fafnir reduced flicker presence on these same skins when dragon form is about to end. Sylvanas fixed an issue where Sylvanas could only hit the jungle shrine from specific angles, and fixed the staff of Merlin not reducing damage on the second fire from Baba Yaga's brew. Well, that is going to be all the changes in the mid-season patch. I'm very excited for it. I think a lot of items are being changed, and pretty much the whole system of Conquest is going to be a little bit different after the update today. Well, if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. I add some commentary to some games, and I try to help people understand Smite, so if that is something you are interested in, please check out the channel. If you could, please subscribe. As always, thank you for stopping by. I hope you have a great day. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.